All right, men, welcome to today's episode of what is now Grounded in God, how to make your changes stick. So, we're coming into the new year here, and probably you've got some goals, there's some things you want to accomplish. And yeah, you've probably been successful in a lot of your goals, but, you know, this is for you if you're still kind of struggling with those home things, with, connection with God, managing your emotions well, connecting with your wife, connecting with your kids, right? If you feel like you're still getting angry a lot, distancing yourself a lot, um, this is how to fix that and really make those changes stick permanently instead of doing it for a while and then going back to your old habits and kind of going back and forth and feeling kind of unstable. This is how to fix that once and for all. So, my name is Mike Frazier, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. Well, and men's coach now, marriage coach too. Marriage is part of it. Um, and yeah, I help high achieving Christian men feel more grounded, solid, have more peace, power, and purpose in their lives. So, when some guys in the program, guys are enjoying Thanksgiving, enjoyed Thanksgiving with their families, feeling just more solid and confident overall. They're not folding under their wife's frustrations like they used to. They're tending to deep emotions, taking care of themselves instead of telling themselves to tough it out and deal with it. They're actually meeting their needs and therefore feeling safer with themselves. Okay. For me, I was able to have a good breakthrough. Uh, when we have these strong emotions, taking them to God is really a great solution. So when I do that and kind of use ChatGPT too to kind of help me through these moments, um, get good ideas and moments of inspiration, and was able to see, okay, like he's here past 18, and maybe that's just a gift we give him to have a few years where he's just, kind of doesn't have a lot of responsibility and can have more fun. My wife and I, neither of us really got a lot of that time. And so, it's kind of nice to have a few years like that. Um, Now, balancing, right, him taking responsibilities that make sense and all that, always that balance. But again, like so much of it comes down to what we're going to talk about today of if our mantra and method is push harder, grind harder, do more, get more done. Yeah, like that does work with work a lot, with other things, with your body in a lot of ways, although eventually that catches up to you too if you're always grinding and pushing, you never rest. But yeah, we take that same mindset to our kids where they should be working hard all the time. They should be pushing hard all the time. And they feel kind of not good enough, not accepted if they don't do enough because you don't really accept yourself if you feel like you're not doing enough. Because you feel like God doesn't really accept you if you don't really feel like you're doing enough. Um, so if that's kind of resonating with you, that's really what this podcast is about today. Um, so look, you are a hard worker and you have been successful in a lot of areas in your life, financially, professionally, but at home, maybe there's still some struggles, right? You feel distant from your wife. You don't have that connection you wish you had. You feel like roommates are less. Maybe you're having more serious marriage issues. Um, you snap at your kids. You get mad easy. And you feel bad after, right? Or, you pull away. You have a fight with your wife. You pull away for a long time. You get mad at your kids. You kind of have this back and forth where you'll get mad at your kids for, like, in our house, it's like not doing your job. So you get super mad and then you feel bad because you got super mad. So then you kind of like ease off and just kind of let them do whatever they're going to do for a while. Don't really push them to do their jobs. Then you get mad that they're not doing it. You come back. Um, so it's kind of like the mosquito cycle, right? You kind of like, okay, well, I need to do everything nice, let people do whatever they want. But eventually you feel like, oh man, like that doesn't feel good. It's not fair. I'm not getting what I want. You get mad. And then you feel bad for getting mad and you go back. So it's just this cycle, right, that happens over and over. And you still try harder, right? And you do try harder. Okay, like next time when the kids don't do their jobs, I'm gonna repeat this mantra. I'm going to, you know, just walk away. I'm gonna take a break, whatever, right? And those are all good things. And it works, right, for a little while until something sets you off again. There's a new thing. The kids didn't do their second job. Your wife said something rude. You felt unappreciated for all the work you're doing by her. Um, and so then you pull away again. You turn to pornography. You turn to alcohol. You turn to video games. You withdraw or you explode. Explode or escape, right? Explode with your kids. Explode with your wife. And then everybody's like, okay, well, there's dad doing that same thing again, getting all upset, or there's my husband doing that thing and getting all upset. So now your wife can't really trust your changes, okay? Your kids still feel unsafe basically with your anger outbursts. And you yourself, you feel discouraged, you feel kind of hopeless. Man, like again, I keep doing this, right? Maybe you also feel some anger because you're like, well, why do I have to be perfect? How come everybody else, why are they holding me to this standard? Like, why can't they treat me how I feel like I should be treated, right? Um, and so then that again feeds the cycle of you getting mad. Well, why do I have to do everything? With your wife, especially, it can kind of feel like this. Well, you know, she needs to appreciate me more. Of course, I'm going to be mad she doesn't appreciate me, right? And so now you're caught in that cycle again. Then later you realize, oh, well, that's not very loving. I should probably be more loving. Um, so it's just this cycle, right? This back and forth of working so hard, trying to do what's right, and then you fail, and everybody seems to beat up on you, and it just feels terrible. Um, so the reason why this doesn't work, the reason why you can't maintain these changes at home, and it's interesting, right? Because you do so well at work, right? And you would never behave the way you behave at home, the way you behave at work. Um, but it's because there's so much like old stuff going on and family dynamics from your childhood, right? And expectations you have on your family that you don't have on anybody else. And you have to kind of dig into that and figure it out. But also, like, the big problem is you're working from an old and incorrect model, which is basically this: push harder to get results. You want to have a better family, work harder. You want to manage your emotions, manage them, figure it out, right? Push through it, get through it. Don't get so mad, right? Um, and again, like this style, it does get results in a lot of areas. Like with work, a lot of times that's how it is. You have to just push through and get stuff done. With fitness, oh well, I want to lift this much weight. Yeah, you push through even if it hurts. You just keep going, right? The problem is it just does not apply to relationships. It does not apply to emotions. Okay, and a lot of us, we haven't been taught this. We don't understand this. Um, but like huge amounts of men have these problems. Okay, like according to the American Psychological Association, 70% of men struggle with emotional availability. Why? Because we've been taught and have basically used the strategy of pushing emotions away instead of learning to tend to our emotions. Okay, and so we can't do a good job with our kids or our wife either. Um, According to the CDC, 71% of fathers don't feel confident handling their emotions in a healthy way. Okay, so if you're like, yeah, I don't, you're not alone. The vast majority of men feel the same way. The problem is, right, if we don't figure this out, it's going to keep going for generations. And here's the thing, right? I think a lot of us, and I've felt this way, is like, well, this generation, they're all about feelings and they're not going to do anything with their lives. But the truth is, if we feel safer emotionally with our emotions, with the emotions of the people around us, if we feel connected, we actually achieve more. And there's research on that. You accomplish more when you feel safe and supported and connected. Um, think of it like a rocket ship trying to launch off. Like it's not going to launch off unless there's a really solid base underneath it that it can push off of. Okay, so we need to provide that for our kids. We need to provide that for ourselves. But kind of the real secret is we don't have to provide it at all. And that's really what today is about. We'll get to the why that is in a little bit. Another study by Barna, a research group, 76% of Christian men feel they're not measuring up spiritually. What does that mean? What that really means is they don't feel like God has their back unless they are achieving certain things. Okay, unless they are living everything in the Beatitudes, which that's its own kind of thing there about what the Beatitudes are about. Um, but why do we feel like we're not measuring up? Why does it feel so hard to do this? Why, it's because we feel like we have to create these fruits of the Spirit on our own, right? We have to create love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. That's all from Galatians 5:22 and 23. Probably familiar with that. And a lot of us look at that and we look at things in the scriptures and we're like, okay, well, I have to be more loving. I have to be more joyful. I have to have more peace. I have to have more patience. And it feels overwhelming because we just, like we can't do it, right? So and we can work hard, right? And we can say, oh, like, let me be more joyful. Let me channel gratitude, right? Let me do all this. And it can work, right? For a little while, but eventually willpower drops, and willpower drops, according to research, about 40 to 60% under stress. So yeah, when your kid doesn't do their job, when your wife's unappreciative, when she says no to sex, right? Like, we get stressed, and now, yeah, we don't have the willpower to continue to be loving or joyful or peaceful, right? And actually, we don't have to be, but we feel like we have to. Also, our bodies immediately go into fight, flight, or freeze when we sense emotional danger. Okay, so when, again, your wife pulls away, she says something frustrating, she doesn't show appreciation, or your kid, doesn't seem to respect you, right? Our body does go into this fight or flight response, and so we get these reactions of anger or shutting down and pulling away. Okay, that is all that stuff's happening. So instead of looking at those fruits of the spirit as like, well, these are the things I have to do. Okay, um, that's not it. It's not it. I promise you. And I hope this is a big relief for you today, kind of listening through this. But Jesus gave us the actual model for change. It's not work harder. It's not push more. Honestly, I feel like this is the way my program was set up. It's like, just push harder. Just figure it out. Do these mental rehearsals, right? And I don't think it's bad to do that stuff, but it's it's not the core of it, right? The core of it is actually this. Jesus told us what the real model is. What he did not say is try harder and your heart will change, or perform more and then you'll bear fruit, or push through and your identity is going to heal. Jesus didn't say any of that. That's something we have created for ourselves. What Jesus actually says, abide in me. I am the vine and you are the branches. And when you're abiding in him, these fruits just happen, right? The fruits grow. Branches, they don't force fruit. Branches don't grind, okay? They don't earn their worth. They don't perform, okay? They just stay connected to the vine, and then fruit grows naturally, okay? From that safety and connection, not from pressure. So that's really the secret. This is how changes last, is the closer we're connected to the vine, the more we're connected to God, the more these branches are going to grow, or this fruit is going to come naturally. The more time we spend with God, okay, the more that's going to happen, okay? So look, we know how to work and grind and push hard. We do, okay? But we haven't really practiced abiding, just being with, spending time with God, okay? A lot of times, at least for me, prayer was like, hey, God, help me, like, do this thing, and then I just, like, go and do the thing. Or help me, like, do a better job with my kids, and then I feel like it's all on me again. But instead, what I've been doing lately, and would definitely recommend to you as a way to abide, like, I think there's different ways to abide in God, but I think a lot of it has to do with spending some alone time, being in scripture, prayer, being out in nature for me is a big one. But then what I've been doing a lot is just like picturing God with me, picturing Jesus with me through the day. When I'm talking with him, seeing the kids, when I'm driving in my car. And man, that's made such a big difference, okay? The more I do it, the better I feel. And the more I do it, the easier it is to react in this calm, grounded, patient, loving, all those things we learned from the fruits of the Spirit. Those fruits come out naturally when I'm more connected to God. And we have kind of a fun relationship. I'll get some jokes from God. Hey, like, how's that working for you, kind of thing. Um, and it's not that I don't still deliver consequences to my kids. So, like, yesterday, one of my kids was on screens too long, right? And I came and, delivered the consequence, told him he needed to take a break, do these other things. He got upset. I still delivered the consequence, right? Um, and did I feel like a better job kind of trying to understand that there's frustration. We all get frustrated. It's okay, right? So I still stand strong. And in fact, I'm actually stronger because instead of overreacting, then underreacting, like that we talked about, oh, how dare you be on your screen, right? I get all mad and then he's crying. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should have done that. And then next time I let him go over on screens, trying to make up for that outburst, right? Instead, I'm just in the strong place. No, like, you need to do that. Oh, they're freaking out. Like, okay, like, let's tend to that emotion. You seem upset. I'm here with you in this emotion. Where before it would have been more like, stop acting like that. It's not a big deal. Deal with it, right? That's kind of the old way, right? And again, like, this is why it's so generational. Like, if we don't figure out how to tend to our emotions well, it's going to pass on to our kids because we're teaching them the same things. Okay. So, like, Jesus teaches us his yoke is easy and his burden's light. It's not that there's no yoke and no burden, it's just a lot lighter. So, like, when you have God with you and when I have God with me, like, there's still things to do, but I feel safe with God where I didn't really before, right? I felt like he was like, well, Mike, like, here's your list of 100 things. Like, if you better hit all 100. If you don't, I'm mad, right? And maybe I'll forgive you because of Jesus, but like, work harder next time. Basically, is kind of how I saw God. But now I see him as with me no matter what and guiding me to what will have the best outcomes for me, right? So it's a much different relationship I have with God. I feel safe with God where I didn't before. And probably my guess is a lot of you listening don't actually feel safe with God. Like he's got your back no matter what, but he's only got your back if you're doing what's quote unquote right. And that leads to problems because you want to spend less time with God if that's how you feel like he is. Versus when you feel like he's got your back no matter what, you want to spend more time, you get to know God better. And then that connection to the vine, that fruit comes through you, you get healed. Okay, you have emotional healing happen, you go out and bear those fruits of the Spirit, right? So it's just much lighter. And it's not that I don't have issues still and get frustrated and all that, but I'm learning the more and more I abide, it just, I'm a million times more consistent. I really am. My changes are sticking much longer. Okay, that was the name of this podcast, right? And it's, again, it's not like some new like habit stack or some trick or atomic habits, and, all that stuff. It is useful. Right? I'm not saying it's not useful, but what I'm saying is it can't stick if we're not abiding in Jesus. We're not going to produce fruits of the Spirit unless we're actually spending time with the vine. Okay. So what I want to do is help you do that. Okay. Feel more connected to God. Feel like bear more fruit of the Spirit, mainly by helping you connect more with God. And doing that together and having some helping each other in that way. I think my gifts around this would be, kind of helping you see problematic thinking that you have, teaching you ways to tend to your emotions so you can tend to the emotions of others. Like, spending that time with God and all that is really useful. And it is important to learn some skills and some tools and things like that to apply, right? One thing I learned and believe in is that the Spirit can bring to our remembrance things that we need when we need it. But to bring something to your remembrance, it's going to be good to learn it first. So you learn these tools and skills, and then you go from there. So really, the process that we go through in the new program, grounded leadership, we're going to call it, is healing your relationship with God and feeling safe with Him. Okay. One of the big questions is how does God feel about you if you're not doing what's right? Okay. That's going to frame a lot of what your relationship with God actually is, and therefore your relationship with yourself. Then we're going to help you heal your own emotional wounds, even from childhood. Okay, that's another big skill I have learned and can help you with, and our other Coach Mimi, can help you with. So when you heal that childhood, now you can treat your kids a lot better, right? Also learn to stay solid, calm, and grounded, and joyful with your family. And then when you do all this, the other thing too is, you might think, well, now I'm not going to do anything because you're used to pushing yourself so hard. But actually, you're going to be achieving more than you even thought possible from a place of emotional safety inside of yourself. Instead of trying to achieve to prove yourself, you're going to achieve and accomplish great things because you want to use the gifts God's given you and explore and create, right? And do all these great things from this place of safety. And you can actually create more safety. You're actually going to be more creative. You're actually going to have more ideas and be more free to create big, great things when you feel safe in all these ways. So instead of this model of, oh yeah, get out there and we're going to crush it, right? It's not exactly that. It's, which a lot of that comes from, again, I'm finally going to be good enough when I accomplish X, Y, Z. Instead, it's I'm already good enough. I've got all these gifts and talents and God's with me. Let's go do something great together. Okay? And you're going to hit challenges and all that, but God's with you. You're with you. You've got your own back. Now that you're doing better with your family, they're with you, right? And you're going to accomplish more. Promise. So if that sounds interesting to you, click the link in the show notes, fill out an application, and we'll talk. This isn't just a like sign up kind of thing. I want to talk to you, see if this is going to be a good fit. So click the link in the show notes and join us for our group in January, and let's do this together. All right, stay grounded in God, men. We will see you next episode.